It's been a hot minute since we've talked about football on this channel, but the college football playoff is remaining at 4 teams through 2025, and a big reason why has to do with our beloved Big Ten. So the college football playoff remaining at 4 teams. In order to make changes in the college football playoff, you got to have 11 people vote. The 10 FBS conference commissioners plus Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick. They were voting on expansion. We're going to expand. We're going to not expand. 8 people voted yes. 3 people voted no. And that was the Alliance commissioner. So they're working together. I guess that's a good sign. The ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 voted not to expand to a more playoff, whether it's 8 teams or there's 12 teams. Reasoning. It looks like, according to reports, ACC, based on player feedback, said too many games. They were uncomfortable about the additional games. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 said, Rose Bowl. We don't want to change the date. We don't want to change the time. We don't want to change maybe our connection with the Rose Bowl. And as we continue throughout this process, that Big Ten and Pac-12 relationship with the Rose Bowl might limit things. And I think there's going to be some pushback between these conferences back and forth as to changes in terms of expansion. But let's talk about the Rose Bowl for a minute, right? January 1st, 5:30 Eastern, Sunset Mountains, the whole deal. I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they have, even back when the Pac-12 was the Pac-10, they want to hang on to this, right? Right now, the Rose Bowl, what is it, every 3rd year, I think, is involved in the semifinals. But they want to hold on to this because it is the most prestigious game. I'm sure it's up there. If it's not the biggest payout, it's got to be one of the biggest payouts in terms of bowl games right now. But this could be a major obstacle going forward for the college football playoff. Is what happens with the Rose Bowl. Changing the date and time is something else, but for the Big Ten and the Pac-12 not to have a connection to the Rose Bowl, like an idea I had would be having the Rose Bowl be the national championship on its current date and current time slot. You have 3 weekends that you can work with after conference championship weekend in the month of December, whether you go 8 teams or 12 teams, where you can fit in playoff games before the Rose Bowl and still have the national championship on January 1st. Is that something that the Big Ten or the Pac-12? But that's essentially giving away their payout to the Rose Bowl. And then what happens to the other bowl games, the Sugar Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Cotton Bowl? I would like to see the bowl games and the playoff separated. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. I don't know right now. But it's remaining at 4 through 2025. And if you're looking in terms of on the field, I know these decisions. On the field is one of the least. That's very much at the back of these commissioners' heads. Money and TV rights and all that stuff is right at the top. In terms of revenue and how much money they can make by expanding the playoff, is probably at the front of these guys' minds. But when I look at this on the field, the 4-team playoff, there's been a few really competitive national championship games. Semifinals have mostly been duds. There's been a few that have been good, but most of the time it's blowout city. It's not close. And, they got this New Year's Eve deal going on, which I don't think anybody thought was a good idea. So if you're looking at, say, we got to expand beyond 4, I'm not sure if on the field results and play is your biggest proponent right now, because then there's teams that are outside of these games, of the 4 that are 5, 6, 7 ranked in the college football playoff, and sometimes they're not winning these games, right? Then they go out and lose. I remember Penn State, when they were the Big Ten champions, they thought they should be in the playoff. They played in the Rose Bowl, and they fell to USC. There's teams that, okay, you thought you should be in a bowl game now, or you thought you should be in the playoff. Now go out and win your bowl game, and that just hasn't happened. If we're looking at on-the-field play, it's hard to say, yeah, we need to expand past 4 teams. Because like this year, Cincinnati was in there, good for them, G5 team for now, but they couldn't handle. They couldn't go toe-to-toe with an Alabama. Right now, it's, as of this moment in time, if you're looking at on-the-field competition, it appears 4 is the way to go. And, give them a few more years, right? I think this is actually very good timing right? Because past the 2025 season, and then starting in 2026 is when you could have a new deal, a new playoff. You know, you got Texas and OU going to the SEC. You've got all these media rights. You've got everything. Let the dust settle, right? Let the dust settle with NIL, transfer portal. I think by that time we'll figure everything out, how players maybe can monetize and earn more money by being in playoff games or whatever it be. This is all very new. It's a changing landscape in college athletics. I actually don't mind them sticking with the status quo until possibly 2026 when they could implement a new format, hopefully with expanded media partners. I want to hear what you guys have to think about the college football playoff staying at 4 teams, what it means for the Big Ten Conference and Big Ten teams. Do you think it should be expanded? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And what about the Rose Bowl? That's the wild card in the room, right? The wild card that won't budge. It didn't budge in the 90s there for a while. Remember 97 when Michigan and Nebraska didn't face off against each other. But leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Football season is, well, it's more than right around the corner, but spring football is right around the corner, so I'm sure we'll have coverage of that. I'm Big Ten Ted. We'll see you in the next one.